Chapter 7. For their flying lesson, Tink led the girls to a bend in the stream. The ground here was carpeted with soft moss. Tree branches formed a canopy overhead. "It's a good place to learn," Tink said. "Plenty of branches to catch yourself on, and a nice soft landing." Terence had come along with them and had brought a small sack of fairy dust. "Who's first?" he asked the girls. "Me," said Kate. She watched as Terence measured out a tiny fairy cupful of dust. "That's all we get?" It didn't look like enough dust to make her fly. It hardly looked like enough to make her sneeze. "Fairy dust is precious," Tink said. "Everyone gets a cupful a day. No more, no less. Hold your breath now. You don't want any blowing away." Kate held her breath as Terence poured the dust over her. At once she felt a tingle from the tips of her ears to her nose. It felt like warming up next to a fire after a day of playing in the snow. She flapped her arms, but nothing happened. "Now what?" she asked. "Patience," said Tink. Terence was pouring dust over the other girls. "Ooh!" Pearl fluttered up and down. "This is so exciting." "Think of something light," Tink said. "Wriggle your shoulders. Bounce on your toes." The girls concentrated. They wriggled, they bounced, and then— "Oh my gosh!" Mia squealed. Her feet were leaving the ground. "Gabby, hold on!" Mia clutched her little sister's hand, and together they rose into the air. "Look at me! I'm flying!" Lainey cried, floating up next to them. Kate still wasn't moving. She pushed off the ground, hard, and shot high into the air. "Hey, look at me! Ow!" Kate bonked her head on a tree branch. Clutching her head, she sank back down to the ground. "Meow!" Lainey giggled as she floated by. "You sound like a cat, Kate." Kate scowled and rubbed her head. Gabby bobbed past, her wings fluttering in the breeze. "Come on, Kate, it's fun," she said. She turned a shaky somersault in the air. Whee! Kate pushed off again, but instead of going up, she went sideways. "Oof!" she grunted as she hit a tree trunk. She landed on the ground again. Above her, Mia was swimming gracefully through the air. Kate watched her jealously. Mia looked like a mermaid with her long hair streaming out behind her. Kate scowled. "Why can't I fly like that?" At home, she was usually the one who was good at things. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Kate closed her eyes. She thought of light things, feathers, clouds, dandelion fluff. She thought so hard she gave herself a headache. "I can see the whole world," Mia cried from somewhere above her. Kate gritted her teeth. "Concentrate," she told herself. She pushed off again. This time she rose higher and higher. "I did it!" cried Kate. "I'm flying!" She was headed right toward Mia. Why is Mia holding onto that tree branch? Kate wondered. At the last second, Kate noticed Mia's pale face. She saw how tightly Mia was gripping the branch. She realized that Mia was terrified, but it was too late. Kate couldn't stop. She crashed into Mia, who let go of the branch. They both screamed as they started to fall. "Think of flying!" Tink shouted at them. "Believe you can fly!" But the girls couldn't think of anything but the ground speeding toward them. Kate smacked into Lainey on the way down. Now all three were falling. Splash, splash, splash! One after another, the girls landed in Havendish Stream. Gabby was still doing air somersaults, but seeing the older girls fall, she fell too. Gabby always wanted to do what the big kids did. She landed in the stream right next to Kate. Splash! The girls were soaked. They were shivering. "Thanks a lot, Kate," Mia said through chattering teeth. Just then they heard a high silvery sound like little bells ringing. It was Tink laughing. The girls stared, astonished. They never heard Tink laugh before. "I think," Tink said, wiping her eyes, "that's enough flying for one day." Kate was quiet on the way back to Pixie Hollow. She walked slowly behind the other girls, thinking. Terence had said that other kids had once flown to Neverland with Peter Pan. If that was true, Kate and her friends could fly there too. That was Kate's plan, to come back to Neverland whenever she wished. Just because other kids hadn't come back didn't mean it wasn't possible. For Kate's plan to work, though, she had to learn to fly. But she hadn't flown, not for more than a moment anyway. Certainly not well enough to fly across an ocean. And now it was too late. Tomorrow they had to go home and leave Pixie Hollow behind, maybe forever. The more Kate thought, the more slowly she walked. The more slowly she walked, the more she fell behind. At some point, Kate realized she could no longer hear her friends' voices. She stopped and looked around. She wasn't sure which way to go. "Hello?" she called uncertainly. "Hey, guys?" The leaves of a bush nearby rustled. Kate spun around. She remembered she was in a strange forest. Who knew what kind of creatures lived there? Kate picked up a big stick. Holding it like a sword, she faced the bush. Out flew a fairy. Kate sighed, relieved. "Just a fairy." "Yes, clever one, I'm a fairy." The fairy had long black hair and a pale, pinched face. Her wings were narrow and pointed like knives. "Are you planning to bash me with that stick?" she asked Kate. Kate lowered the stick. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I go where I please, darling," the fairy said with a sniff. What are you doing here? And why are you all wet? Kate looked down at her damp clothes. We had a flying lesson, she said. It didn't go very well. The fairy smirked. Clumsies can't fly. They don't have wings. My friends don't have wings and they flew, Kate pointed out. Is that so? Then I guess you simply have no talent, the fairy said. I guess not, Kate agreed sadly. Although, if you really want to fly, I might be able to help you, the fairy said. How? Asked Kate. Well, sweet, I am the fast flyer in Pixie Hollow. As if to prove it, the fairy buzzed a circle around her Kate's head. A flying talent fairy. Kate's heartbeat quickened. She noticed how this fairy's wings sliced the air as she flew. Other fairies fluttered. You'd really help me? Kate asked. I could, though I need your help in return, the fairy said slyly. Of course, Kate agreed. Then meet me at moonrise in the orchard, by the sour plum tree. The fairy turned to leave. Wait, Kate called. What's your name? The fairy glanced back. Vidya. Somewhere in the back of Kate's mind the name rang a bell, but she hadn't been listening when Prilla warned them about Vidya. My name's Kate, she said. Vidya shrugged as if Kate's name was not important. She started away. Oh, wait, Kate called. How do I get back to... She trailed off. Vidya was already gone. Just then Tink flew up. There you are, she cried when she saw Kate. We've been looking for you. She looked around. Who are you talking to? It was... nothing. Nobody, said Kate. For some reason, she didn't want to tell Tink about her flying lesson with Vidya. Tink's brow furrowed, but to Kate's relief, she didn't ask any more questions. Well, come on then, Tink said. The other girls are waiting. Even Tink's scowl didn't dampen Kate's spirits. She was going to learn to fly from the fastest flyer in Pixie Hollow.